This is not a story about speed. And it is not a story about a single failure that can be easily explained. It is a moment that has forced Spain and much of Europe to pause and reassess assumptions about safety, infrastructure, and systems that most people trust without question. On a quiet Sunday evening in southern Spain, two passenger trains collided on a section of railway that experts considered routine. Not remote. Not experimental. Not under construction. A stretch of track designed for stability and predictability. What followed was one of the country's deadliest rail incidents in more than a decade. And while the immediate facts are now publicly known, the deeper questions are only beginning to emerge. According to official statements, a Madrid-bound train traveling north from Málaga derailed near the town of Adamuz, close to Córdoba. At some point after leaving the tracks, it crossed onto the opposite line and collided with an oncoming train traveling south toward Huelva. Across both trains, around 400 passengers and crew members were on board. Emergency services confirmed that at least 39 people lost their lives. More than 100 others were treated for injuries, with several remaining in hospital, including patients in intensive care. Authorities have repeatedly stated that these numbers may still change as identification processes continue and medical conditions evolve. From the first hours after the collision, officials emphasized one thing: the cause was not yet known. And that uncertainty is central to why this incident has resonated so strongly. Spain's transport minister described the situation as extremely strange, noting that railway experts consulted by the government were openly puzzled. In rail safety investigations, confusion at this early stage is uncommon, especially on modern high-speed networks with multiple overlapping safeguards. The derailment did not occur on a curve. Weather conditions were not described as extreme. There was no immediate indication of external interference. These absences matter, because they eliminate many of the explanations people instinctively reach for. Which leaves a more uncomfortable possibility, that something within a highly advanced system behaved in a way it was not expected to. One of the trains involved was a Freccia 1000, a model used across Europe and known for advanced safety and monitoring systems. It is important to stress that design capability does not equal operating speed, and officials have not suggested reckless operation. Modern railways rely on layered protections, automated signaling, centralized traffic control, onboard monitoring, track sensors, and human oversight. For an incident like this to occur, investigators will be looking closely at how those layers interacted or failed to interact at a specific moment in time. Rescue operations began almost immediately. Firefighters, medical teams, and Red Cross personnel worked under difficult conditions, navigating damaged carriages to reach passengers. According to emergency responders, the structure of the trains made access challenging, requiring careful coordination to avoid further harm. Authorities established emergency medical posts near the site and transferred injured passengers to hospitals across the region. Meanwhile, information centers were set up at major stations in cities including Madrid, Seville, Málaga, Córdoba, and Huelva, offering support to families searching for news. For many relatives, the most difficult part was the waiting. The regional emergency agency urged survivors to contact family members or share confirmation of their safety, highlighting the emotional strain caused by uncertainty and limited information during the early hours. Spain's Prime Minister described the night as one of deep national pain. Messages of condolence followed from across Europe, including from France, Italy, and the European Commission, reflecting the shared understanding that rail safety is not just a national issue in an interconnected continent. Spain's high-speed rail network is among the largest in the world, connecting more than 50 cities over thousands of kilometers of track. It has long been cited as a model of efficiency and reliability. Serious accidents are rare, which is precisely why this one has drawn such intense attention. The last rail disaster of comparable scale occurred more than a decade ago. Since then, safety standards have been strengthened, technology upgraded, and public confidence largely restored. This incident does not erase that progress, but it does challenge the assumption that advanced systems are immune to unexpected failure. Investigators are now beginning a process that will likely take months. They will examine signaling logs, track data, train control systems, maintenance records, and operational protocols. They will review communication between control centers and train crews. They will analyze whether automatic systems behaved as designed, and how human decision-making interacted with those systems. Importantly, officials have urged patience. Early conclusions, they warn, can obscure complex realities. In transport safety, understanding what happened is only the first step. Understanding why it happened is what ultimately prevents recurrence. This is where the broader implications come into focus. High-speed rail is a cornerstone of modern mobility in Europe. Millions of people rely on it not just for convenience, but as a safer alternative to road travel. Events like this inevitably raise questions not about whether people should fear trains, but about how safety systems are continuously evaluated and improved. There is also a human dimension that statistics cannot capture. Passengers described moments of confusion, sudden impact, and disorientation. Emergency responders spoke of long, careful operations to reach those trapped. Families waited for news, often relying on fragmentary updates. These experiences matter because they shape public trust. In the coming weeks, attention will likely turn to how rail operators communicate findings, how transparently investigators share conclusions, and what changes, if any, are recommended as a result. This is not about assigning blame prematurely. It is about accountability through understanding. The next phase of this story will explore how modern rail safety systems are designed to prevent exactly this kind of scenario and what happens when rare combinations of factors push those systems beyond their limits. Not to provoke fear, but to explain how trust in infrastructure is built, tested, and maintained. Because when millions of people depend on the same network every day, clarity is not optional, it is essential.